What's up, everybody? Clint Esposito here with the Clint Esposito Show, number 38. On this episode, I talked to John Parker. He is a BMX rider, actually went to the X Games for the first 10 years the X Games was going. He obviously was on Ride BMX magazine on the cover there, as you can see. He owns Stunt Masters, which is a BMX demo company providing demos all over the country. He has written two children's books, and he just got into comedy. So I hope you enjoy my discussion with John Parker. What is up, everybody? Clint Esposito with the Clint Esposito Show. Number, I think this is 37. And we have a guest on today. I brought him on because not only does he do comedy, but also BMX. So a little bit of another action sports person that decided they were also funny or wanted to be funny. I don't know. John Parker, what's up?
Hey, wanted to be funny, trying to
Yeah,
be funny,
yeah,
working
you
on
and
it.
me both.
Exactly. Some people think I'm funny. Some people I have to explain it to.
Well, that's what I've realized with comedy, right? Is it's all just, it's like music. It's not say, I don't ever say that music is bad anymore. I say that's like not my type of music.
Right.
So
Right.
I think comedy is the same way. It's very subjective versus, BMX. Let's talk about that. How
Okay.
long have you done BMX?
I've been riding for a way long time. Let me see. I started in 1988. So a little before it was blowing up, but it was still kind of cool. Like people knew about it, but you didn't have magazines. You didn't have YouTube. It wasn't all over the internet. So it's still a little underground.
Right, it was core at that point.
Core, that's what I like to think.
Yeah, it was, right? And that's even so I started riding dirt bikes probably maybe around the same time. I started riding bicycles probably around the same time.
Oh, cool.
Um and then I got into dirt bikes, and I remember when Fox hit the malls, like it was very disappointing, right? Cuz that was like a core
Right.
brand. And then
Right.
I remember seeing a kid at the mall and he had a Fox shirt on, and I was like, "Oh, you ride?" Because previous to that, if somebody had a Fox shirt on, they definitely rode. And he
Right.
and he was like, "Ride what?" And I'm like, "What?"
Times change, man. Just like you were saying with humor, like you used to think, poop and fart jokes were funny, and then you grow up and you got to start using four-letter words or whatever. But yeah, it
Yeah.
changes as you grow.
Yeah. So yeah, you started doing BMX in '88, and then you done contests, just demos?
Oh
What did
yeah,
you do?
I discovered bike riding one day at school. So not all bad, not all good things come outside of school. Good things come at school. So I'm sitting at the bus stop after school one day, and this kid comes flying down the sidewalk on his bike, jumps up on his frame, does a little trick called the frame stand. I'm like, what the heck is that? So I started doing a little bit of homework and discovered BMX. Got a bike, fell in love immediately. Rode all the way through high school, and then I think right after maybe it was my senior year, I went to my first contest. And Woody Itson, I don't know if the name rings a bell with you. Woody Itson, old school BMX rider, had started the GT freestyle team, show team. So he hands me his card. He says, "Call me Monday." So I was supposed to start college, my second semester of college, actually, that next week. And I dropped out to go to China for a month, ended up traveling around the world, rode the X Games for 10 years,
Awesome.
toured with Tony Hawk for about 5 years. We did the Boom Boom Hawk Jam.
Okay.
And yeah, pretty much rode everything I could for 20 years until it came to an end. Not
Yeah.
an end, change, a change,
There you go.
let's say.
I
Yeah.
wish my change had been a little bit more smooth, but you know how that goes sometimes.
Yeah. Yep.
um, yeah, but that's why I was pumped just to see that you did something like that and enjoy comedy too, because I actually do have a lot of freestyle motocross friends, a handful, that have brought up that they would like to try comedy, and they just have
Right.
the cold feet, I guess, of actually going to a mic, and they keep trying to write the perfect 5 minutes to go to the mic, and I'm like, stop that, just go to a mic.
Right, right. You could write the perfect 5 minutes and get on stage and be like, you got no minutes at all.
Yeah,
So you got to start somewhere. And I'm kind of new to it too, a little fledgling. I've been announcing shows, like
yeah,
freestyle shows, BMX shows, skateboard shows for like 15 years. So I'm not afraid to be in front of an audience,
right.
but I don't like when they don't think I'm funny.
Yeah.
So that's always tough.
Yeah, I take any of those times where you don't connect, like, and that's how I'll put it. You just didn't connect with the audience. I like to
Yeah,
think of
exactly.
that as like I chose the wrong material, or I opened poorly, or maybe I flubbed the joke, like, but I try to look at the reasons why I did a poor job of connecting with them, and just be
Right.
like, it's an opportunity to kind of address that and then fix it, versus being like they didn't think I was funny or whatever. Because
Yeah.
you could do the exact same set at an 8 o'clock show and then do it at a 10 o'clock show and get two totally different reactions from the people.
Right. I believe that. I believe that. So I'm out here in Gilbert, Arizona, and my local comedy club is JP's Comedy Club, and
Yep.
they're pretty awesome. Not John Parker,
No,
Jim
it's not
Perry,
your club.
not JP, not John Parker. It's a different JP, but he's awesome. And I don't know if you know Rick Thorne.
Yep.
He's really into comedy in LA. Does some gigs, does band stuff, rides bikes, and does comedy. So it's pretty. If you hit yourself in the nuts enough, you start finding humor in everything. I think.
Steve-O, for instance.
Right?
Steve-O's a comedian now.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Um, I think that's probably some of that stuff. Is Thorne doing comedy himself, or is he just like hosting?
Yeah.
Oh,
No, no,
cool.
he does stand up. Yeah, yeah. Check him out on his I don't know his Instagram off the top of my head. Biker in Black maybe.
Probably.
But
I would hope so.
yeah. Yeah, you think, right? Mine is Stunt Masters because mostly my 24/7 day a week job is putting on action sports events.
Awesome.
So we do shows. I got a team out in Missouri today doing a couple shows. Then they end in Long Island, so up in your neighborhood.
Oh yeah.
But we put shows on around the country. I announce at them, I ride at them, and put other people to work at them. And then COVID comedy sort of like was like my little stay safe, stay sane kind of thing. Sitting
Mm,
around the house, all of our shows got canceled. Basically, took a year off almost. So that's when I
right.
started thinking, I should look into comedy. I always think I'm funny. I should try it out and see if other people do too. So that's sort of where it fell into my lap. And then JP's opened up right down the street. So it's kind of a perfect beginning, maybe.
Yeah. That's kind of they're new, right? JP's, because I remember
Yeah,
that
they
just started
they've been
popping
around
up.
about a year, I think.
Okay. Yeah. I didn't think it was that old. So you started during the pandemic with the comedy?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
My origin of comedy is very similar to yours because I owned FMX East for a long time and booked all my own shows. And then I had at the time, I think I don't know. I had a couple of companies, worked with some other people. I had partners, and I had gotten hurt, blew my shoulder out, and instead of hiring other people to announce the show, I just, and a rider, because I would normally ride the show. So I just hired an extra rider, and then I went and announced. And
Right.
during the show, I just started saying stuff that was funny to me. As like, just, I don't know, I was just talking and I was slipping stuff in. And then I caught, there were like a couple of people around the crowd that were laughing. And I'm like,
Right.
oh, like, there's some people are getting this. It's just a
Right.
finite amount of people that are actually understanding what I'm saying. But I was like, this is kind of fun watching their reactions and stuff.
Oh, totally.
And I'm like, I'm just in the wrong, like, I'm in the wrong venue for this, which is why people don't expect jokes right now, which is why most of the people aren't even catching on to it. So
Yeah.
then, yeah, after I stopped riding, I was in Texas. I moved back to New Jersey, and I'm like, well, what am I going to do now? I want to do something where you have the opportunity to travel and you still kind of get those butterflies, of performing. And it's not like I'm going to die, at least now. So I was like, and now I'm in New Jersey. So if you're going to try it right now is perfect scenario. So that's it. I just started going by myself to Mike's. Wouldn't even tell anybody. And just go to
Right.
Mike's. And then eventually I felt like I was like okay enough to be like, hey, I am actually doing a little bit of comedy.
Yeah, that's really cool. That's
Um,
really cool. I get to I'm traveling still a little bit, so I get to see go to clubs all over.
yeah,
I've
that's
tried a couple
awesome.
different stages. I haven't quite broken through because I got a lot of material, but I don't have it's not like ingrained in my head.
Yeah.
So and I switch back and forth between being really serious and then not so serious. So for me, it's still a little bit of a head game. I'm not a veteran by any means, but got a little time ahead of me.
Yeah. I mean, and I'm only, I think 7 years, like this Thanksgiving. So I'm not like super, you know, uh, knowledgeable or whatever you want to call it,
Right,
experienced.
right,
And there was even the first couple of years I didn't take it super serious and I didn't go and do a ton of stuff. But I do really enjoy, I would say it's not exactly like, performing on a dirt bike, but it's
right,
very similar, and you still get after a good set. You still go home the way you go home after you ride. Like you
right.
feel like just energy, like you're pumped up. You're like, yeah, that was
Yeah,
awesome, and you keep
definitely.
running stuff over in your head.
Yeah, that's very cool.
Yeah, right. Like, do you not feel that? It's super.
Oh no, I totally do. Like to be honest, I've only been on stage, comedy stage, 4 times. So I'm
Oh
like
wow.
super green. I took some classes with a guy just to sort of break in, and we did a bunch of like stuff within the little class, if you will. But I've only been in front of like a club audience 4 times.
Okay.
3 of which were at my club right down the street, which is
Yeah.
really cool.
Yeah, that's
So,
cool.
but it's just fun. I mean, it's just like when you're riding a bike or a motor FMX, like you feel good because you get to like affect people's emotions. They get excited. They get, oh yeah.
Yeah.
And it's the same idea with comedy. Like different idea. People aren't usually scared out of their mind or like fretting anything, but you say things that affect people or you do things on your bike that affect people, and it makes you feel good.
I agree with that. I did, ironically, my whole freestyle career. And I didn't ever think about comedy in this way until, like I said, basically right at the end there. But I was always jealous of like musicians, how they could really connect with the audience. Where you
Right.
do connect with the audience kind of with tricks, but it's not like I imagined, and obviously it's different with comedy, but with music, those people are singing songs that they wrote and the people know the songs and are singing them back. Like think about
Right.
how crazy of a feeling that must be. And I think comedy a little bit like you coming up with things to say and then people reacting to them, I think kind of gives you that
Right.
similar type of feeling.
Well, I definitely feel like with words you can express more of your personality.
Yep,
It's like if you're
exactly.
singing or you're talking, like personality really comes out. Whereas if you're riding a bike, all they do is see you the
Right.
action, not so much the words.
Exactly. And it's just like, oh, that was crazy. And that's kind of the whole gist of it.
Yeah,
Not
that
like
was sick. Did that hurt when you hit yourself?
um how many do you have multiple setups?
Show wise, we've got one big ramp, a full size half pipe. That's good for skateboard, BMX, inline skate, scooter, the whole 9 yards. And
Yeah.
then we've got 2/4 pipe jump box setups, and then 3 other jump ramp setups. So
Nice.
right now we got a crew in Missouri. They started in New Mexico and they're ending up in Long Island, and they're touring with a jump box, which is an airbag. So it blows up. The landing blows up. So you got a lip and then a landing that's like inflates.
Yep.
So it's really quick to set up and it travels really compact. So that's really cool.
What kind of demos are they doing?
These are all school shows,
Yeah.
and our school assembly, it's a BMX assembly. They all come with a message and a little bit of humor, ironically. So usually we're talking about character building, drug awareness, goal setting, and we're joking with the kids, having a good time, and doing awesome tricks on our bikes. So,
I have actually gone and announced a BMX show like this or two. A couple years ago, I
oh, cool.
announced one in Massachusetts, but similar type of thing. It was school assembly, and we showed up. I just obviously I actually drove the ramp there. The BMX I kind of helped set up a little bit, and then I just announced the show, and that was it. But yeah, similar type of thing, like a assembly, and you're trying to you know, draw the kids in with the action sports. It's weird.
Exactly.
This never happened with freestyle motocross. They're like, you're not
That'll be a
jumping in a
tough one,
parking
right?
lot. Well, it's very similar, right? Like it's only, I guess,
Right.
marginally more dangerous than BMX.
Need a little
Marginally.
more room. But
Yeah, I
no,
guess
it could
true.
be. It could go over well. I know there would be the right venue for it, for schools, but it'd be a little more difficult. Ours is quick and easy. We set up, and it
Yeah,
takes like 20 minutes to set up, 20 minutes to tear down. We can go inside of gyms. We can go in little
yeah,
parking lots or basketball courts. So
yeah. I definitely we're not. They're not letting us on their gym floors. That's the thing, right? Gym floors. You got to be real careful.
exactly. But that's just it. Usually the PE coach will come out and be like, "Gonna put that on my floor?"
Yeah.
I'm like, "Yep." It's like, better be careful.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Those wood floors. That's the thing. You chip one of those real bad.
oh yeah, and obviously we have the insurance and whatnot. So,
Yeah.
but we're extra careful. I mean, we've been on NBA floors before.
Yeah.
Those guys are uptight.
Yeah. Well, that's an expensive floor.
Exactly, and it's really sad because with those, when you do like halftime shows at a basketball game, you've got like 5 minutes for the entire show.
Yeah.
5 minutes to set up, ride. 5 minutes, all that. You got in 5 minutes. You got to set up, ride, and tear down. Be
Yeah.
out of there. So it's a
Um,
little bit.
we did a NHRA drag race at whatever that one in Tennessee is.
Oh
Uh,
yeah,
Bristol Dragway. And they had a same thing. We were basically like kill time when a car,
right.
blew a transmission and they were cleaning the oil. But it was literally like 6 minutes. So like
Right.
they wanted us to drive out, set up. We jumped like 3 times and then they're like, all right, get out of here.
Get out of here. Yeah.
And then the whole time, because I got this big box van, I'm like backing up in front of the crowd, and everybody in the crowd is screaming at me to get out of the way. And I'm just like,
Trust me, you're gonna like this. Give me 5 minutes.
I'm like, I can only go so fast. I'm sorry. Um, so that's all you did. X Games, you said as well.
Yeah, I did the first 10 years, and I think we started up there in Rhode Island actually.
Yep.
And then on the 11th year, I had a bad injury. I had to take the year off. Couldn't remember my name for a few months. And then I rode a couple more years, and then I got relegated to judging, and then just sort of, then X Games sort of tapered off a little bit as far as contests
Mm.
and sponsor money. And then 2008, 2009, the whole world just sort of like slowed down a lot.
Yeah.
So, and so did I. So I moved back. I actually lived out at Woodward East in
Okay.
Pennsylvania.
Yep.
So I lived there in State College, about half an hour away, for about 6 years. And then when the contest scene sort of slowed down, sponsorship dollars slowed down, I ended up coming back west to Arizona. Didn't quite make it back to California, but now I'm out here just putting on my own shows and still riding bikes, putting on shows.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's what it's about, right? Is doing
Yeah, I mean,
something.
it's really cool because I missed my reunion, my high school reunion, but went to my hometown a while back, like about a month ago. And I see some old kids I went to school with. I guess they're adults now, right? But I see some people I went to school with, and I'm like, I'm still doing the same thing I always did.
Yeah.
Little different capacity, but still riding bikes.
I think most people don't can't relate because they didn't get to do something that they really enjoyed for, a living.
Right.
So I think a lot
And,
of people for some reason don't see that stuff as like a regular way to make money. I
right.
think a lot of people
And
get stuck in just you going to work or whatever and then that's the end of it.
exactly. Yeah. I mean, I've been very fortunate. It seems like you have too. Like finding a passion and being able to share it such that you can make a living on it's pretty awesome. And that's one of the things we always talk about at motivational shows. Find something you like to do, get really good at it, and then share it with the world. And if you do that right, there's a way you can make a living at it.
Yes. And people always go, learn to love the process. And I don't agree with that statement exactly. I think it's find something you love doing, that's loving the process, and then do that, versus trying to like be like, well, I'm going to learn to love this.
Right, right. Hopefully you don't have to learn to love it. Hopefully you just fall in love like a romance. Like with me, I love bike riding from day one. So I mean, I discovered it like in my freshman year of high school, and by the time I got out of high school, I had a little sponsorship, and then I started taking college classes, but I dropped out to go on tour. So it's like I love the process of learning tricks because I liked riding bikes, but you shouldn't have to force yourself to like the process. Like, oh, if I do it just like this, I like it. That's
Exactly.
not, you know.
That's
I don't
my
like driving to work every day, but if I take this one route and I listen to
exactly.
this one book on the audio book and have a coffee, then it's bearable. Like
Exactly.
that's kind of sad.
Right, and that's what people say that a lot, and I'm like, that doesn't make sense. Why don't you do something you love, and then, you're passionate about it. And the issue, I think, a lot is that people think they're just going to do what they love and then make money, and it's not like that. You have to do what you love long enough to be good enough or proficient enough in it that when the opportunity comes, you are in the place to take advantage of that.
Right, right.
If
You
you
gotta
waited
know
for
you gotta know where the opportunity is and see it.
if you had waited for somebody to offer you, because I had people go, hey, what tricks do I need to learn to do freestyle? And I'm like, that's not how it works. I said, I want to see you show up all the time and practice and get better and feel confident that you can do your tricks in any situation. No matter where we go, what the surface is, you'll be able to pull your tricks. That's all I want. It's not a magical trick. But that is really loving it and being consistent and being there all the time.
Exactly. And like when it comes to um, competition versus shows, different attitude, different style of riding, maybe. I mean, I've ridden with some of the best skateboarders in the world, but you could tell they didn't want to do the show they were at.
Right.
They're like, whatever. I'm too cool to be here. And they were too cool to be there, but then they could fake it for 20 minutes, right?
Yeah.
Like, smile, wave, do what you love to do. So,
Yeah,
I mean, there's a little
exactly.
different attitude when it comes to that.
But I think, and this is probably a good actually thing to talk with you about because I've said it a bunch, but I think in any of these BMX and FMX and probably skateboarding as well, you have two routes to go. You can be a show rider, and that's kind of like consistent. Your risk is consistent, and you're doing more smaller shows with the tricks that you do, or trying to be a contest rider, where now you spend more time at home trying to work on real big gnarly stuff to just go and set it down at like these three big events a year,
Right.
which is like I think a lot of people a lot of people start action sports wanting to do X Games, which, I mean, obviously, because that's most likely the first thing that you see that gets you interested in it. But a lot of people end up seeing the money at the beginning at demos and then being like, well, I want to make that money, and then never make it past that to go to contests.
Right.
Right? Because
Right.
if
It's
you're,
tough to say because, like, there's kids now that are like 15 blowing my mind, doing
yeah,
tricks that, never even conceived of when I was 15. So things change quickly. And obviously the 15-year-old kid, hopefully he's not just thinking about making money because A, it's tough to do in our sport. And B, if you're just thinking about the money, you're gonna fall out of love quickly. you
yeah,
know, if that trick isn't worth whatever dollar sign you think it has pegged to it, then there might be a problem.
right,
But like I was saying, when it comes to shows and contests, it's a different mentality because if you go to a show, the main idea is to entertain,
yeah,
drag the people in, get them behind you and your actions and your words if you're speaking. Whereas when a contest, it's pretty cut and dry. Like, you better get rad. You better
yeah,
do something incredible. You better impress me.
yeah, yeah, right from the get go.
Yep.
Biggest stuff, gnarliest stuff. And I mean, I, I guess it doesn't because you have to practice big stuff at home. But I'm just thinking the risk almost evens itself out with the amount of more demos you have to do to generate your money versus taking big chances at the big contests. I don't know.
Right. Well, it's just an attitude, I guess. When you're younger, I know usually when you're younger, you're just hungry.
Yeah.
Like I used to love putting on my full face helmet. I'm not gonna say I liked crashing, but I like putting on all the gear and just knowing I was invincible, or at least feeling invincible.
Yeah.
You know, like when I started riding, like I grew up watching Matt Hoffman and
Yeah.
seeing him just get gnarly, doing incredible tricks you wouldn't believe. And I was like, I want to be that guy. I want to do that.
Yeah.
So,
But again, he went abnormally large. Not very many
yeah,
people went as large as Hoffman.
right. No, there's just something about like gearing up and being somewhat of a gladiator. Like,
Yeah.
just I'm gonna do what it takes to get that trick.
It's flipping that switch, right? Like once
Exactly.
you get all set up, and I was a better, and this is, I feel like I was better showtime than I was any other time because, like you said, it was like, okay, it's time to flip the switch off in your brain as well and get to business,
Right.
versus
Right.
kind of, I felt myself maybe a little cautious in practice and stuff, which if I was probably a better practicer, I would have, my tricks would have been better or whatever. But when it was go time and it was time to flip the switch, that's what I liked. And it's like, okay, we're
Yeah.
pulling it, because we're going
Yeah.
for it either way right now.
Yep. 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 And I had done shows pretty much from the beginning of my actual career. Like I went to one contest and then right after that I started doing shows too.
Yeah.
For GT bicycles. So like I really had a good world in which I was ultra motivated right in front of huge crowds because when people are yelling at you, they're all stoked. Like you want to do your best, but then also focused enough that I wanted to learn new tricks too. So I got a good world. Good, like I had the motivation, and I was still young enough to have the drive to like try some more gnarly tricks at shows. I've been knocked out about 20 or 30 times in front of thousands of people. So not to
That's
knock on wood that I'm still here, but
people say, relating to comedy again, people would always be like, that knew what I did for a long time would be like, aren't you nervous to get in front of those people? Like, and it's like, yeah, your ego's hurt, but have you smashed the floor in front of 7,000 people? Like that also hurts your ego and your head, like at
right,
the same time.
right. Exactly.
They think
I
because you
was
have
at
a
a
headache
contest.
or because you have a helmet
I was at
that,
a contest in England one year. This is kind of toward the end of my real professional career. Forget the year because I forget a lot of things about that. But I got knocked out in front of thousands of people at a competition, and I didn't realize it what had happened for a couple of days when I woke up back at home. So I flew all the way back home.
wow.
Someone picked me up at the airport, drove me back to Pennsylvania where I was living, and I don't remember like a whole month of my life. So it's pretty incredible. Like apparently I wet myself, knocked myself out at the bottom of a ramp, wet myself, and don't remember any of it because it could have been really embarrassing had I
Yeah.
remembered at the time.
Well, Travis said, somebody asked him about crashes, and he was just like, I just don't remember them.
Exactly.
He's like, it wasn't that
Forget
bad.
it.
I don't remember.
Forget it as soon as you can.
I have one like that where it erased that whole week, basically, where I have like two instances that I know were from that week, and everything else is just like gone. That's a weird scenario that is not that fun.
Yeah, my wife said I got up a couple mornings, got dressed, got my backpack, and I was like ready to go somewhere. And she's like, "You going somewhere?" And I was like, "Aren't you taking me to the airport?" And she'd be like, "Where are you going?" And I'm like, "I don't know. Never mind."
Yeah. Did you do the ask the same 6 questions over and over?
Oh yeah, that's what people tell me anyway.
Yeah.
To me, they were new.
Do you know how to what you're supposed to do when somebody starts doing that? How to snap them out of it? Write the answers to the questions down on a piece of paper.
That's pretty good.
And every time they go to ask you something, point to the piece of paper, and they'll go. At first, they'll be like, "How did you do that?" And then
Magic.
it'll like click them back in, and they're like, I do keep asking the same things over and over because they're on this paper already. And I've done that a couple of times and it worked.
Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah.
That's magic.
So try that next time somebody does that.
Whoa, whoa, whoa! I'm out of that
Not,
now.
well, I'm sure you may be around people.
Right? Maybe I'll. Yeah.
Not you,
Right.
but
I guess a good answer to that would be yes. You keep asking the same questions.
I don't feel bad. I kept telling my one friend Greg knocked himself out, and then I just started making up answers to what he was doing. When he's like, "What was I doing?" And I was like, "A backflip, bro." And he's like, "I tried a backflip," and I'm like, "Yeah." He was all stoked. No, you did
That's
not.
cool.
All right. So you want to plug anything? You got anything?
Plug anything? Well, I have written a couple kids' books that
Awesome.
are really cool. And one of them I actually was going to bring up because it's kind of the first one is about kind of me, my character, basically discovering your passion in life, coming out of your shell and saying, "Hey, this is what I'm all about," and I'm not embarrassed to share it with you.
Awesome.
Mine being bike riding, kind of helped me grow up. The second book is about kind of an interesting thing that some BMXers might understand. There was, for some reason, the number 43 was always important in our sport. People say, "Oh, 43, that's all BMX, all about BMX, right? 43, the number 43." So the second book in my series, which will be published any day now, self-published,
Cool.
not that big time, just doing it myself,
Making it happen.
is about it's about this kid who is very angry at the world. He's a skater, hates everybody, hates everything, pissed off all the time, and he gets in a fight at school. And his coach tells him, grabs him, he says, "What time did you get up this morning?" And he's like, "I don't know, like 6:43." And his coach goes, "All right, I want you to carry around a pen and paper. And every time you see the number 43 for the next week, write down what you saw and where you were." He's like, "What?" He didn't get it, but he's like, "Fine, whatever, I got to go to class." So he takes off. And in the next week, he starts seeing that number everywhere, 43, 43. And every time he sees it, there's something interesting going on. It's like a lesson he learns.
Uh-huh.
So the whole week he picks up these little lessons, and he realizes by the end of the book, with the help of his coach, that you find what you're looking for. Whether you're looking for the number 43 or you're looking for good things or bad things, you're going to find them.
Yeah.
Whatever you're looking for, you can find it.
That's
So if
true.
you're looking for the bad stuff, you're going to find bad things.
Yep, that's absolutely right. I tell people if you always guess the worst thing is going to happen, eventually you're right.
Exactly.
All right, dude, that was awesome chatting with you. What are the
Absolutely.
name of your books and where can people find them?
Well, they're both under the Stunt Masters heading. That's the
Okay.
name of my company, Stunt Masters Inc. So the first one is Stunt Masters, What Do You Want? Learning to discover what you want. And the second one is Stunt Masters 43.
Awesome. All right,
Yeah.
everybody go and search those, especially if you got some little Groms at home that are shredding around, right?
Yep.
Yeah, that's it. Check out Stunt Masters, and thank you guys for watching. Everybody subscribe, comment, like, whatever. All right, later, everybody.